Alright, Retcon, a portmanteau of retrospective continuity. A term that refers to introducing new information to the audience after the fact, that recontextualizes or straight up changes information that has already been established. And then the narrative goes on like things were always like that. They don't come across all that well regardless of the context or the meta meaning behind the change. Even if they are presented seamlessly, there's always a sense of either the writer admitting they forgot to set up something important, or just coming across a little self-indulgent changing things for the sake of changing things. As mainstream MCU examples of both, the Cosmic Cube in Captain America 1 being rebranded as the Space Stone once Thanos became part of the Avengers movie, and Rhodey being revealed to have been a Skrull since Captain America Civil War. And outside of the MCU, I will die on the hill that Tom Riddle's diary was not a Horcrux in Chamber of Secrets. I think a retcon's overall quality, or should I say how much it detracts from the original story, is directly proportional to its noticeability. The less noticeable the better, even if the retcon is enormous. If it's integrated well, it's less noticeable and therefore better. Fanfic tends to not follow that rule. If a fanfic writer wants to make something happen, they will just make it happen, regardless of whether it blows a massive hole in everything that's been set up so far. Your new character is Anakin Skywalker's son born out of wedlock before Luke and Leia. Doesn't that retcon Anakin's entire relationship with Padme? Yes, it does. The thing in your Fantastic Four story is blue. Doesn't that retcon the fact that he's supposed to be orange? Yes, it does. Sometimes I would say it's not even intentional. Sometimes people want so badly to stamp themselves on a story that they don't notice that stamp can't really be there. Or they're so intent on telling their story that what came before and what comes after is just an afterthought. I think that is what happened here with Yu-Gi-Oh! R. Again, it isn't fanfic. The guy who created Yu-Gi-Oh! Had a massive hand in it, and Akira Ito was officially employed to create it, but it makes a retcon so huge that it rings all of the fanfic alarm bells. So on top of the fanfic bingo that we will be playing with this book, we will be breaking down this retcon. First though, quick thoughts on the book. I started this video series saying I liked the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series as a whole, mainly because of the duels, and I like the duels because they are essentially extended fight scenes that operate within a very rigid set of real-world rules. And then in the video focusing on those rules, I said it was funny when they broke them. It is no longer funny. People just do whatever they want here. There are cards with such long and specific effects that it's like, why are you even bothering with this pretense of a card game? Just do whatever you want. It kind of takes away the suspense and the sort of well-oiled sheen that comes with a well-written duel. So it's a slow, prolonged thumbs down on the duels now. What about the rest of it? Well, we're talking about book 4 of 5 here, so this should be building to the climax. This should be our Empire Strikes Back. This should be our all is lost moment. And while it does hit a few of those beats, some good guys, including Seto Kaiba fulfilling his ever-present Jobber to the Stars role, do lose some duels where they'd been winning everything up to this point. The overarching goal of saving Taya, remember, doesn't feel any harder to achieve or any further away. It does not feel like all is lost. There's a lot of crying too, which will nicely tick off the angst box when we start playing fanfic bingo, but it does end up giving the whole thing a rather melodramatic feel. So yeah, I'm liking this series less and less the more focus is taken away from proper duels and the more focus is put on people screaming and crying at each other. Also, card inside. What is that card? Angel 07. When this card is tribute summoned, it gains the following effect. The effect of effect monsters cannot be activated. One for the real fun havers among us. Right, sorry to jump in here with low quality video, but I'm taking photos of this book for the video, and I have just noticed a massive printing error. I cannot believe I didn't see this when I was reading it, but I must have read it in different sittings, so it didn't really register. But you can see these two people
shooting this elf, and then your boy Richie's like setting a face down and ending his turn. And then if we just flip, it's the same thing. But this isn't just one duplicate page. Well, obviously this isn't the same situation, because you've got these two shooting, and then over here you've got like Bandit Keith coming in hot like Spider-Man. But it's all of these pages are duplicated. So it goes through the book, like the story progresses from here to where Bandit Keith jumps in, and then it just happens all over again. It is 32 duplicate pages. 32. How did this happen? 'Cause, like, I imagine this scene with Kaiba is what is meant to follow this scene with Spider Keith. I can't believe this.
Right, let's get to this retcon I've been talking about. Maximillion Pegasus, a character with a deep, layered, nuanced backstory. Boy meets girl, girl randomly dies, boy gets a magical ancient Egyptian artifact shoved into his skull, boy creates a children's card game. A tale as old as time. He is introduced to us as the primary antagonist of the first major arc of the series, taking over Kaiba Corp before that was cool and stealing the soul of Yugi's grandpa in order to blackmail our hero into competing in his Duelist Kingdom tournament. His motivations and goal differ slightly between the Japanese and the dub. In the original, he wants to use defeating Yugi as a way of restoring his company's reputation and use the Kaiba Corp holograms to make a hologram of his dead girlfriend. In the English, he wants to use the Millennium items, including Yugi's Millennium Puzzle, to bring her back to life. And he takes over Kaiba Corp for the crack, I guess. But either way, his methods are extreme, fatal, morally wrong, and quite illegal. Now, what I'm about to say is going to sound random and bizarre, but it needs to be said here and kept in mind by you going forward. At no point in his life did Maximillion Pegasus have the time, the capacity, and the inclination to adopt like 50 orphans and train them to be duelists. Why did I say that? Because that is what Yu-Gi-Oh! R is telling you to believe. That is what it is telling you is happening. That is what is telling you has happened. At some point, the soul-stealing, child-imprisoning, corporate-sabotaging, evil Maximillion Pegasus adopted like 50 orphans, trained them to be duelists, and they loved him like he was the world's greatest dad. This is the retcon, and it is ridiculous. How could this possibly happen? His girlfriend gets fridged when they're in their late teens, then he goes mental from grief until he gets the Millennium Eye, at which point he goes mental from ancient Egyptian magic and grief. He spends his whole time designing cards, realizing he shouldn't have designed some of those cards, going backwards and forwards to Egypt, looking at rocks, beating Bandit Keith, and trying to revive his dead girlfriend. At what point could he have become Dad of the Year? And how? Yeah, he's probably got the money, but as I said, he's got like 3 layers of mental going on inside his head. How is this man in the right frame of mind to be this amazing father that he apparently is? And this is all before and during the Duelist Kingdom arc, because it cannot happen after. At the very end of that arc, he gets his eye ripped out and he ends up in a coma. So he obviously can't be adopting orphans then. And yet here they are, and we meet a bunch of them throughout the story. I've mentioned Yeiko and Gecko Tenma. Gecko's a good guy, so his relationship with Pegasus takes a bit of a backseat to saving the day. But Yeiko's whole goal is reviving Pegasus because he's so obsessed with his adopted father. And then there's Dupree Scott and Richie Merst. Richie calls Pegasus the son to all the kids he raised and says, without him, they cannot survive. And Dupree is out here punching the ground and crying, saying Pegasus is all they have. This is crazy. They are all so deranged and intense with the thought of bringing this guy back. But when you think about it how I am now, in that there is no way these people could have had a relationship with Pegasus, let alone a positive one, it becomes so fanficky it's funny. You are retconning everything we knew about this man just so your new characters can have a relationship with an established character. Hey, this was our bingo card of fanfic tropes from the last episode. Let's make a new one. And I'll quickly run through what each point is. New characters related or connected to an established character. You can probably understand why this is here for the last 7 minutes of the video. Time travel, don't do it. Mary Sue, don't do it. Plot twists, please don't make Ron the bad guy just for the sake of making Ron the bad guy. Angst, crying, mentioned this one too, so you know this will be getting ticked off. Incongruous, you could argue that a retcon so bad makes a story completely incongruous with the story that came before it, and I will be arguing that. Off-model, established characters that appear in your story should look like they are supposed to. If they don't, we have a problem. Flashbacks, gotta break all flow to tell the audience the amazing and tragic backstories of your new characters. A twist on the established power, magic, science. My character wields the secret 7th Infinity Stone, which is more powerful than all of the others put together. It could even make Tottenham Hotspur win a game. Doesn't fit in the chronology. Can your story physically take place in the time window that it's set in? Parallel universe versions of characters. You're telling me we're in a world where Bart is sensible and intelligent and Lisa is the renegade? Unthinkable. Over-designed new characters. I'd been in a forced labour camp for the last 10 years, but I'd made sure to take care of my hair. It was sleek, voluminous, and the colour of strawberries at sunset. New characters forming romantic relationships with established characters. One of the most tempting of tropes, but like the Mary Sue, don't do it. Quips. That just happened. He's standing right behind me, isn't he? And so on and so forth. Edgy. Just over-the-top evil and violence that detracts and becomes comical, not the intended cool. Names from mythology. You got a big, important tree in your story? Planning on calling it Yggdrasil? Right, that's this video's card. Let's play bingo. Hitting the 2 points covered by the horrendous retcon first, we've got new characters related to an established character, with Richie Merst and Dupree Scott being the impossible adopted sons of world's greatest dad, Maximillion Pegasus. Remember, we didn't actually tick this off for the same reason when we were intro to Richie and Dupree. We ticked it off then because they were acquainted with the established bandit Keith. And to address the incongruousness, the retcon of the villain Pegasus into this benevolent father figure is about as incongruous as it can possibly get. Let's tick off the angst here too, because we've already covered the crying and the punching the ground and the screaming at the sky. On the topic of punching though, and staying with the angst, there's a bit where Joey punches Gecko in the face and Yugi's like, "No, Joey, he's on our side." And Gecko's like, "It's fine, I deserve it." And I'm just laughing out loud. Got no time travel, and our leading Mary Sue candidate, Gecko Tenma, loses again, so he's basically off the table now. There hasn't been another plot twist either, and there normally isn't in this stage of a story. I would be shocked if there isn't at least one in the last book though. Anyone off model? Well, let's have another look at the cover, shall we? So the light isn't on his face. That's probably about right. Do you see it? Yugi has green eyes. Again. They got it right twice, and now they've gotten it wrong twice. What is going on here? Is there like a story reason for this that I've just missed? You better believe with all this talk of Papa Pegasus, we've got ourselves some flashbacks, which means, hey, bingo. We got another bingo. Can we get a double bingo though? Is that a thing? We do get a twist on the current magic powers science with the introduction of the wicked Avatar, an evil version of the winged dragon of Ra, but I'd say this story does now fit in the chronology. I'd been on the fence about this previously, but it's pretty clear at this point that this story is taking place over a very limited period of time, so it can probably fit in the overarching series. No parallel universe versions of characters, and all the new ones have some restraint in their designs. No new characters forming romantic relationships with established characters, with Reiko Kitamori not showing up in this book at all. So whatever she had going on with Joey and Tristan wasn't anything apparently. And the Avengers still haven't come out yet, so no quips. Is it edgy though? Well, I mean, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. And lastly, names from mythology? No, but we do get one last really weird name. Cedar Mill. That is straight up a type of cider. And he gets wiped out by Yugi for daring to be a minor side character showing up right before the climax. This isn't a duel, by the way. This is Yugi summoning Slifer for real. I think, and vaporizing this man. So yeah, we got another bingo. We didn't get the double bingo though. We'll see if we can achieve that legendary feat with a fresh card in the last book. I think if you are going down the retcon road, you have to be wary. Don't do it if you don't have to. I think I should say straight away, build on what's there, don't change it. But if you absolutely have to, try, as I said, to be as unnoticeable as possible. Make people go, oh yeah, the Tesseract wasn't the Space Stone at first. And absolutely do not do what they did here. A retcon so noticeable that it genuinely makes you laugh with how silly and unbelievable it is. Hello, thanks a lot for getting to the end of the video. Like and subscribe. Shaved head variant. Nothing really to report here, I don't think. Movie video in a fortnight, and then we'll be back with the last one of the Yu-Gi-Oh! R series, at which point I don't know what we're gonna do as like the shorter fillery videos, but we'll find something. We'll figure it out.